PowerPoint. I believe that we are doing a great job with you by once completing the session, uploading the recorded session to be as a backup for you, and at the same time to deliver you the PowerPoint presentation, which will help you a lot in teaching or in implementing those skills for students. Today, it's the presentation is for PowerPoint, and we are going to see from my previous experience in coding with students in lower grades, how to implement Python language for the students. Actually, you have to, I guess you know very well that coding skills, but it's a kind of reminder that coding skills should be developed at 4 stages. Stage 1, to develop algorithm skills. Stage 2, learn block coding like Scratch or any similar language. For beginner, I mean from grade 7 till grade 9, learn text-based coding language that we've choose Small Basic from Microsoft, which is an amazing solution. And for advanced, I mean 10, 11, 12, Python language. Why this variety of coding language? In order to give them different alternatives of knowing better many languages and the different syntax between a language and another one. Knowing that we started developing curriculum for grade 7, 8, 9, or 8, 9, most likely for Python, in order to introduce them at an early stage, since Python is really the #1 coding language all over the world. So just to start, and I will try to go quickly for those slides. So you have the Python software, which is downloaded from the official website python.org. As you know that once I launch Python, I can execute the command file new in order to open the Python editor, as you can see here. And here I can start working on my programs. No need for any editor. All is included with Python editor. But at the same time, once I click on the run module, the execution will be on the same screen. I'll try to make you once I finish the presentation some slides. So some examples. Sorry. So here is the result of the execution of the program print. This is my first program. But the editor, which is we have here many options to install an editor to be friendly user, more attractive for students, which could be PyCharm, MU, or any other editor. But you have to know that the editors cannot work without installing the Python software. Here I mean, if you ask your students to join or to download the MU or to download any editor, they have to know that they are supposed to download first the program Python, and then after the editor. Excuse me, I was on my phone. So the first choice of editors in Python are PyCharm, which is a little bit I mean loaded for the machine. It will take more space and more time to run, but it's one of the first choices that we've adopted in grade 10. And you have the MU software, which is a little bit lighter for the machine. It's quick to launch and a little bit speedy in execution. So how to download the PyCharm or the MU, you have the official websites on our digital platform. For the MU software, which we will be practicing today, we have the code with .mu, where you can download the program. And this is the interface, which is, as you can see, it's more friendly. Students will love it since they have icons in color and better than the Python normal editor. So, and we have a third option, which I believe it will be a real solution for you, which is the online Python, where students are not asked to download softwares. They can open any browser, even on their tablet or on their Mac or on the computer, any computer, and they can try coding with Python by typing the website online-python.com. Now, when to start coding or when to start Python in general, from an educational point of view, it's better to introduce for students more than one coding language, as I said before, in order to show them the different syntaxes. So from grade 1 to 6, we can start with Scratch, as we are doing in our curriculum right-click. From grade 7 till 9, small basic, and from grade 10 till 12 with Python. It's always possible to start teaching Python in lower grades, I mean from grade 8 till grade 9, in parallel with small basic, in case ICT is given over 2 periods per week. So here, I believe you can go through giving in grade 8 and 9 in parallel 2 coding languages, in case you have enough time for that. But from my opinion, and if you can accept this advice, don't stop teaching small basic, because it's really important for students to have and to know more than one coding language in order to see from different perspective how to write coding, and it's enriching for the students. So now, in case you, I will start my progression, my scope and sequence in Python, considering that you will decide to teach Python in lower grades. In the curriculum you have in your books in grade 10 and 11, it's a little bit tough, since we are dealing with students, older students, so they can understand and they have the behavior of manipulating things in a different way. But if we will start in lower grades, I mean from grade 8 or 9, it's better to begin by introducing the object turtle to draw geometrical shapes, since in lower grades, I mean in grade 4, 5, and 6, they are used to draw shapes in Scratch, and in small basic, they started in grade 7 by also writing programs in small basic to draw geometrical shapes. So this move will be the right step in order to make the link between a small basic and Python. And as you can see, I believe you have a little bit experience in Python, I guess, that we can import what we call libraries. So turtle is an object, and it's considered as a library. In order to manipulate it and to use it, you have to import it before from the library. So that's why we have to start with the import library command, and then after we will go to the object turtle dot. We will choose the properties, which is the BG color to change the color of the background, the pen size to set the width of the pen, the pen color to set the color of the pen, the forward, the right, the pen up, the pen down, and so on. So as you can see, if you are dealing with your students in lower grade 7, 8, 9 with small basic, you will see that same comments applies here, but in a different way. I mean, the syntax will change, but the logic is the same. The algorithm is the same. So then after this introduction for the turtle, of course, you are asked to give them many examples of geometrical shapes to draw. By the end of this session, I will prepare a set of exercises and to send them to you in order to keep them in your library. Whenever you want to do them with your students, you can. And step 2 in Python as an introduction for lower grades, and this introduction you can decide could be also for higher grades. I mean, if you feel that your students in grade 10, 11, or 12 don't have enough background in coding, since the last 2 years we were teaching as a distance learning, students were at home, so we believe that it's not really understood from students and acquired as skills. So you can go through those steps even for for higher grades. So I was saying that for higher grades, from grade 10 till grade 12, when you want to start teaching any coding language, it's very important to give students example of programs, applications, or games to make them understand the component of an application. I mean, how an application starts. And from here, we can go through giving different examples, and you have to lead this discussion between you and students. For example, in example 1, while practicing the withdraw money from an ATM. Example 2, how to create an account on Instagram. It's an application. How to sign in for a game, the process of taking a food order in a restaurant. So why you have to lead with those examples? In order to make students think about what's happening at the beginning of each program. And this is the start. This is where you have to start. I mean, to withdraw money, to create a new account in Instagram, to sign in for a game, to take the process of food in a restaurant, all has to start with what we call a dialogue. So there is someone who has to ask questions, and logically speaking, it's the computer, and another one is the one who has to answer, it's the user. So that's why the conclusion of those examples after a deep discussion between you and your students is that any computer program or application has to start with a dialogue between the computer and the user in order to make the program run according to the input of the user. Excuse me if I'm going through those details, but for me it's really important, since I'm dealing with you as more than 100 teachers in ICT. I know that you have enough skills in coding language, and it will not be tough or difficult for you in order to understand any coding language as Python or other. But what I'm trying to explain you and to show you is this educational process in order to go from step by step for a safer introduction, and to make students understand more this coding language. And believe me, this is what I'm doing with my student at home, because you may know that, all of you know that I'm a teacher like you, and I'm teaching students from grade 6 up till grade 12, and I'm using this technique, and the result is amazing. So this is the conclusion of those examples, and then after I will move to the following slide, which is where students must understand that the dialogue between the program and the user is made as follow. So all what I'm saying, and it's recorded, and you can see the recorded session later on to remember some points. All those examples and this strategy of teaching should be followed with your students in order to explain them, and you'll see the reaction of that. So the computer or the application is made to ask the question. The user is asked to answer the question. So here we have the program will ask and the user will answer. And the conclusion is, for each question, there is an answer that should be provided by the user. This is what the students must remember in order to introduce the commands print and input. And here, maybe it's not included in my PowerPoint presentation. I missed this point, but I will tell you, I will tell it to you right now, and please try to make attention to this point, that if we consider that, and this example, I give it many times to students to understand this process. If we consider that we are 7 billion people on Earth, and all of them have computers, we can consider that those 7 billions are considered as users, because they are using the application, the program, the game, etc. But from those 7 billion, if there is a few million of them who did studies at the university in computer science, computer engineer, communication, I don't know, and they started creating applications, those few millions are considered as programmers. So I hope it's clear. The example is really, really important for students. So the 7 billions are users, few millions are programmers, okay? And those few millions who are creating applications like Facebook, games, application for banks, for restaurants, for schools, are creating those applications, and the 7 billions will use those applications as users. And students must understand today that once they are learning a coding language, they are becoming programmers. And when they launch Python or any coding language, here is the point: they are playing the role of the programmers and the users at the same time. I mean, when they write a code, a coding language in Python, they are considered as a programmers. The moment they click on the run to execute the program, they are considered as users, because we cannot call anybody from outside the computer room or from the house and to tell him, please check me my application if it's working. So here we are playing a double role. This is really very important for students to understand, because sometimes students are lost. They don't know what they are doing. So when students are writing a code, they are considered as programmers, and once they click on the start or the run, they will become users. By the way, I will remind you that at the end of this session, I will give you my email to send your request in order to obtain what we call the certificate of participation, that will assure that you participated in this lecture. And later on, I will send you a Google form in order to practice some simple exercise in Python to see if you have the beginner level as educational purposes. We are not testing your skills in Python in order to give you another certification in attending or passing the level 1 Python for education. So this is very important for you. So I will try to start with the command print, which is the basic command in order to display different messages. As you can see here, we can display a static message when between quotes we write print, this is my first program, the execution will be down, this is my first program. I can display with the print command the content of the variable. As you can see on line 1, I wrote a equal 10, and then after at line 2 I write print the value of I close the comments, and then comma a, and the value of the content a as a variable, I'll be back to the notion of variables, will be displayed below as 10. And of course in the print I can display a kind of calculation. Look here, if I write print a plus 10, so the value will be 20. Those simple exercises and examples should be given to your students in order to get familiar with this language, and slowly they will be used and familiar to this software. After that, I will go through the input, and here, as you know, we are dealing with the commands as a reminder to make understand the students what are the components to create this dialogue between the user and the computer. And we saw in the previous slides the print command, and now it's time for the input command. If I write the input between brackets like you are seeing here, there is no message between brackets, the input process will not be clear. The input process will be done, but there is what we call a blinking cursor waiting the user to type a value without any explanation. That's why we are here to write or to tell the students that it's impossible to write the input without explaining what the user is asked to input. So the second command input should be given always with a phrase or a sentence to explain what the user should type as an input. And here it's time to introduce the notion of variables. So if I want to recap in few words, I will go back to the turtle, then to the dialogue between the user and the computer by using the two commands input and print. And now comes the time for variables. And here you have to show them this example where there is 3 questions asked. Students are asked to guess what happened with the typed data. I mean, if I run the program and I type my name, the first grade and the second grade, what will be the result for those information typed? They will be saved or not saved. So the answer should be that, which is normal, that the data typed by the user will be lost the moment the return key is pressed. And here the key note that you have to introduce for students is that it's impossible to use the input command without assigning it to a variable. So excuse me. So here you will start by introducing the notion of a variable, which is to be compared to a box to save data. and examine the 3 variables that precede the input commands n and 1 and 2. Students must know or complete the program with the command print at line 4. And as you can see, the variables are written between comma outside the quotes. As you can see here, hello, comma n. Your first grade in math is comma n1. So that's why here, as a result, when I execute the program, the result will be, hello Wissam, your first grade in math is 12. And then after I will go through the following example, which is a very, very, very important example, which is the data type in Python, which students can consider as granted, okay, like in small basic maybe, and you will be a little bit surprised or astonished, or students will be, when they will execute the program, and when they will print n1 plus n2, the result will be 12, 13, and not 25, since Python consider that the information you've typed for the math grade 1 and 2 are let's say as considered as text, and even if you type them as a numeric, they will be considered as text, and they will be placed together as if we've typed B and C as values. So from this example, students will be convinced that we have to go through a data type which is adequate to the integer. So another example is to be introduced for data type in Python. So ask your students to calculate the average of the 2 grades. And as you can see, if I type on line 4 average n1 plus n2 divided by 2, I will have an error, which is unsupported operand type for string or integer. That's why we have to go through the data type, which is ENT for integer and float for the decimal values. And from here, the integration of data type, excuse me, will be normal after those 2 examples that precedes, and they shown that Python are not managing numerical value unless you precise the data type of the value. So they can accept that for line 2 and 3, we have to precede the input command with the integer or the float as you wish. I remind you that you can type your private question in the chat with your name or WhatsApp or email, and I will reply you. I promise I will reply to all your questions at the end of this session. So here we are talking about the average, and as you can see, the average now is well calculated with the integer float. But if I type a decimal value, an error will be displayed. Why? Since the data are integer and not decimal float. So here we have to go and to change on line 2 and 3 the type of the data type from integer to float, as you can see here, and the result will be if I type 12.4 and 15.3, the average grade will be 13.85. So I have no problem in calculating those exercises. So here, after doing this introduction for the calculation, the display, the data type, I can go through a set of exercises for lower grades in 8 and 9. So teachers are asked to propose a series of problems to be solved by students using all the skills learned till now. Exercise, here I gave you 4 types of exercises, but you can do the one you want, or of course other than the one proposed. So exercise 1 is to calculate and display the average temperature of 4 days. Exercise 2 is to calculate and display the total price of a product by typing the unit price and the quantity. Calculate the perimeter of a rectangle, calculate the average grade of 6 notes or 6 grades, etc. Here we have to know that students will not face a major problem or difficulties, or they will not be lost in how to type. The major problem they will face is how to translate the exercise to a coding language. I mean, how to create the algorithm of this program. And this is the main problem they will be facing in order to solve problem in Python. And from here, we can see that it's our responsibility as teachers to help them reach this value. After proposing the excuse me, after exposing the different techniques to use the input and print data type calculation process, it's comes the time to start the conditional if statement. So teachers are asked to take any example from the previous one and to complete them by adding the if statement. Here we start reproducing results. I mean, I take the first exercise, which is to calculate the average of 2 grades, and then after I will start by exposing the if, which is written case sensitive lowercase if AV greater than or equal to 10, 2 points or columns. Then I go back to a new line, and as you can see that the print is tabulated on the right to tell Python that this command print success will be displayed in case average is greater than 10. So, but we have a problem here. Look here down, the result of the exercise. It's Muhammad Nuruddin, can you please help me accepting the teachers attending right now, please? So as you can see here, the success is displayed. Okay. After that, after that, examine the students are supposed, students are supposed to guess that nothing is displayed, so that we are in need to use the else instruction. This is in case average is below 10, so nothing will be displayed. That's why the below example shows how students are in need for the else instruction in order to print the fail message in case average is less than 10. And always remember to tell the students that the if is a case sensitive, and this slide will explain in a detailed way that the if and else line should be terminated by the 2 points. Command should be written in lowercase. The tabulation at line 7 and 9 is a must to make Python understand that those commands are related to the if and else instructions, and that the if else statement can't evaluate more than 2 values. Here I mean that if you write the if average greater than 10 with the else, you can see that only two sections are done, which mean from 0 to 10 success and from 10 to 20 fail. But if I have more than one message to display, more than two messages to display, as we are seeing here, so we have to go to the elif or the else if statement. As you can see here, I can display as messages as I want by creating those segments. If average is greater than 18, print amazing, greater than 16, and so on. So lowercase, this structure should be memorized by students in order to write it in a correct way. Here I will open a parenthesis to say that to evaluate students in Python, you have many options. One, you can evaluate them in a written assessment, and I will be sending you also with the PowerPoint, but in a later stage, few example of written assessment in Python, and please do ask me for that. If you can, if some teachers can send me a request in the chat to send you the written assessment. Okay. Second, you can do practice in case students are in front of you. And three, you can use our digital platform for teachers or schools who adopted our curriculum. They know well that we've created the 01.education platform where you can access our digital platforms. And in this digital platform, we've added what we call the quiz generator data bank. So you as ICT teacher, you will select the grade, you will select the topic, Python or other. You will choose the different grades from our data bank, and by that you will receive all the questions you may have. You will send them to your students, and in return you will have the assessment corrected with the grade almost done. So it's a new feature that we've added. We are preparing a promotional video for that. You will be receiving this promotional video in order to be able to use it in a correct way. And here I invite all the teachers or the schools who are not using our curriculum to take contact with me or with Mr. Muhammad Nuruddin or Mr. Paul, or the one present with us, Mrs. Sarah maybe, in order to get the samples of books and a private webinar or presentation to explain them our curriculum, how it's done. So to have all those features in your hands. So back to our presentation here with the elif statement. As you can see, from 20 to 18, from 18 to 16 to 14 to 10 and to 20, we have different messages that we can display. So no limit for this section. After introducing the if-else statement, come the time to start the embedded if. And here the embedded if will be developed in a later stage. I mean in level 2 that we've explained or give to in the near future. So I will go back to my PDF lesson plan in grade 11 and 12, because maybe there is people who are waiting for that. So, but at the end of this presentation, I will be reminding you that to receive the certificate of participation, please, if you have your mobile, take picture of this slide or print screen of it, to send me on this email your school name, your full name, the grades you are teaching, your WhatsApp number, by international format, which I mean, if you are in Saudi Arabia 966 and you complete, or in another country, the country code, and I will be preparing you the participation certificate in order to to send it to you later by email or on your phone. So this is for the time being as a presentation, and I remind you that what I've did for more than 45 minutes is explaining you a secure process in a scope and sequence for giving lower grades teaching in Python. That's why once done this part, we can move to see the advanced curriculum in Python for grade 10, 11, and in the near future we are updating the grade 12 curriculum. So I'll be opening right now my my curriculum for grade 10 and the chapter Python in grade 10. I'm very pleased today since we are like 120 teachers participating, and for those who did not attend, they will be receiving the recorded session for that. Believe me, it's a pleasure for me to share with you this experience I see that we have teachers from different countries, and it's a pleasure for me to share this with you. So I will be sharing again my screen, and what you are seeing right now is the curriculum of the grade 10 chapter in Python. I will go through it in a fast way, since the skills are not really in a way we will have a mixture between what I've did and the content of this higher grade, and it will be the subject for advanced Python level 2 with practical exercises and examples. As a first lesson, we are showing you in the first lesson how to download the Python and the PyCharm, okay, and how to run it as for students. The first step, as you can see, even for grade 10, is the print command, with how to embed it with a variable in order to take out the result. You will see that the speed of teaching Python in higher grades will be faster than the lower grades, the one I did in the morning. So as a second lesson, as I said, we've introduced the input, the variables, okay, and the error provided by the input in case I did not specify the data type, which is the integer, and at the same time I've introduced the float section or the float properties, and two projects to do. In the third lesson, I'll be explaining how to create a program and how to master the if and else. So you can see that even in grade 10, students are in need to remember those skills as a simple manipulation to go further for advanced one. And here you can see the elif statement with the properties of the equal sign, the difference between the not equal, I mean, and the embedded or the nested condition, which is introduced in this section, where I have to go to test for the gender and for the score. I mean, if the gender is male or female, according to this, the score will be different in any sport activity, as we all know. Here we go through the loop, which is how to create a program with the loop sections. The command the while, by defining the counter, by incrementing, setting the condition and incrementing the counter with all the exercises needed. And then after, I will go through what we call the nested loop, which is the embedded while, the while inside a while. And I promise you that to give you many examples of those exercises to practice with your students online and offline. In the next session, I will be using the loop function for using, it's a fun lesson to use it with the turtle in order to draw geometrical shapes, as I said before. So here there is the different commands to manipulate the turtles, and teachers are asked to follow those commands, to remember from small basic, and to do them on their workbook. And then after, to integrate the loop with the command in order to reproduce geometrical shapes. And here, as you can see, students in grade 10 are asked to draw those series of squares in this form that you can see on page 55. This technique needs a higher level for students to know how to embed two loops in order to draw this shape. It's really amazing for them. And after that, just to admit all, okay. So, and reaching this section, there is a program where students are asked to write a program that allows them to input a first numerical value presenting a minimal value of the interval, and the maximal value, a third numeric value representing the value to be searched, and in order to see if this value is between this interval, yes or no. And then other another project for the product of two numbers, if it is positive or not. So as you can see, there is a series of problems, advanced problems here, how to calculate or to display the time in a Python program. So this is where we use the embedded if to calculate or to input the hour and the minute, and then after it will give us the correct time. After that, the operators that we are using that are common, the math functions which are the absolute value, the cosinus, the floor, the max, the mean, the round, and the other functions, okay, and how to use the math library in order to import those functions to be used. The operators, the equal sign, the different sign, and the affectation or the sign in order to make a value inside a variable. Like here, a equals 7 means that the value 7 is stored in the variable a, okay. And finally, a list of projects and the introduction of the definition of the function. I mean here how to create a function by defining the def, the name of the function, and what to do inside the function, and how to call a function without parameters and with parameters. So this part will be developed as a second level Python, giving you the time to practice for those who don't have enough practice in Python. Excuse me for that. So you will have the time, and then after I'll be precising a date for the level 2 section. And here is problems to practice more and more the functions in Python. And finally, as you can see here, some other projects also to master how to exit from a loop by using the break command, and how to import the time and the calendar libraries. So we believe that it's a final lessons for grade 10. I will be moving very quickly because we have to respect the 1 hour presentation for the grade 11 in Python. And as you can see, it's really an amazing program for grade 11. I will go through grade 11 to back again to remind how to install the program. It's normal. Creating directly, we go through the because we consider that in grade 11 they've started Python before. So creating the if condition, the embedded condition, the loop with the while, creating the embedded loop, it's done with one lesson, which is very tough for teachers having 17 years old. Then after we do a recap for all those instruction, and after that we go through the for loop, mastering the use of the for loop, how to use it in different way with by giving different examples. And then after the pointer for the for loop, here also we are giving the instruction position in a specific series of text. In the following lesson, defining a function, creating a function without a parameters, calling a function. This is what we've did at the end of the chapter of grade 10. So I will move in a quick way. And then after, as you can see, the chapter is really interactive. It is really interactive, where students are asked really to write, to practice exercise, to do projects in this chapter, because we believe that coding is working and working. And then here we will start by defining what is a list, how to fill a list, how to display the content of a list, and the major example that we give to make a difference between a variable and a list is the difference between a house and a building. And here students will enjoy this example by knowing that in a house I can have one family, in a building and I can have many families. So this is a real comparison between, and I advise you to highly to give this example for your students to make the difference between variables and lists. And here we start the journey by practicing how to fill in the list, how to inverse the content of the list. Sorry, what's happening here? Excuse me. Okay, excuse me. Practicing exercise. Mastering the use of the command that manipulate the list. So filling a list by using the command print, the command append, the command insert. And here students are asked to practice those projects in order to get used to manipulating the list. And the coming lesson will be projects with the lists. I will not go through them. The teachers who are using our books can imagine the content of this chapter. For those who are not using, they can ask me in the private message in order to send them to have an idea about this chapter to read it in a clear way. So as you can see, problems and problems and problems. Now advanced features, I will finish in 2 minutes. Copying the content of a list in a new one, searching a value in a list, finding how many times a value exists in a list. Those manipulation I can, and I believe you did them while studying coding at the university. So imagine that your students in grade 11, they will reach this level to manipulate lists as advanced as you can see right now, in a clear, educational, and step-by-step process in order to make them understand this process. So here we are searching for a list, and sometimes, as you can see, we show them the beginning of the exercise, and then after we will continue, or students are asked to continue this this exercise. And I think that the last lesson in the Python is the math library, where they have to explore the different functions. So mainly, stop sharing. Sorry, I was not sharing my screen. Oh my God, I was not sharing my screen. The last one. Excuse me, huh? Really excuse me. You will see it in the recorded session, the last part. I'm really sorry. Maybe you informed me about this, but I'm not reading the chat. In all cases, you heard about the content. I believe that it's clear for you. Now I remind you, can you please send the power? Of course, I will be sending the PowerPoint as I did for the Arduino session. If any one of the presents did not receive the PowerPoint of Arduino, please send me a request on my email or on my mobile in order to I will share again I will share my number, +961 3380633. In case you don't have my number, just to send me a special request. So in case you you did not receive the PowerPoint of the Arduino, please tell me or remind me in order to do that. Okay, and for those who did not send back their request to receive the certificate of participation, please send them by mail, send the request by mail. Tomorrow we will be animating the microbit at the same time. I will be sending you tonight an email in the afternoon, and in the morning a WhatsApp reminder to be present for the microbit. It's a really amazing lecture tomorrow, how to start with grade 4, 5, and 6, teaching the concept of the microcontrollers, how to build electronic circuit related to coding and to IoT, and the introduction of the artificial intelligence. By that, I will finish my lecture. I hope that it was clear and helpful for you. If you have any positive or negative comment regarding this lecture, I'd like to hear, because by hearing you, I can improve myself and improve my technique and my method in order to make it more and more efficient for you. Resources will be sent to you. Exercises in Python will be also sent to you in order to have more than one alternatives in testing and evaluating your teachers. I will stop the sharing now. I will stop the recording.